What's up everybody, this is G The Hypersapien, and in this video it's a how to paint the red gobbo. So I did want to bring this video out before or around Christmas time, but unfortunately I got busy, a lot more busier than I expected. Obviously that time of year, all of a sudden you're doing all sorts of stuff. And also summer in Australia, this year it's been fairly tame, but all of a sudden, around Christmas time, it popped out its head to say hello. And it's not that comfortable having ring lights on your painting desk, trying to paint something so you can actually see the model and have some nice light going down onto it. And also between you and me, I did get the Gloomspite Gits Battle Force around Christmas time as well. And stupid me opened the box up, smelt that plastic crack and wanted to build some of it. So before I knew it, it's the new year and I haven't put out the video for the red gobbo. Anyway, enough excuses. This is how to paint the red gobbo. So for the red gobbo's coat, I used Mephiston red instead of using a darker colour like corn red. I used this because I used a white undercoat, so I really want this colour to pop, so we just basically jumped a step and we're going to use this as a base coat. But we only needed one coat of this and it really came out nice, as you can see, nice and vibrant, and it really makes the model pop. Now we are going to use a shade over this, and that would be Carroburg Crimson. Now I do have the old formula, I haven't used any of the new Citadel shades, so all the shades in this video are going to be the old shades from Citadel. But as you can see, the shade has made it quite dark, and we don't want it like that. We want the red to pop, so we're going to layer that back up with Mephiston red. But as you can see, I'm going to leave that shade in all the recesses. You can see that he has this texture in his coat, and we're basically going to focus on the flat areas and some of those creases in the coat. But we're going to start incorporating Evil Sunz Scarlet into this red. Now this is how I thin my paint. I thought I'd show you. I add a lot of water, and then I'm going to add some of that Evil Sunz Scarlet, and we're just going to slowly move into the Evil Sunz Scarlet. So as you can see here, I'm not overloading the brush, and I'm just adding some of that Evil Sunz Scarlet into the Mephiston red here. So basically this is kind of like glazing, or you just want to layer this new red over the top of the Mephiston red, and again you want to leave all of the dark in those recesses. But I layer this up a few times. You can layer it up as much as you want until you get the right colour that you're happy with. So I do this a few times, and yet again I want to leave some of that dark red underneath. Also want to focus around the edges of this because I'm going to add another highlight on here after I've used this mix. Now I did record a fair bit of this red, I guess because it's one of the main elements of this model. Some of the other colours that I use I don't record for as long. So I just wanted to show you how I would do this red coat. Now I quite like painting red, I like painting red cloaks and stuff like that. But as you can see, this is starting to get to just Evil Sunz Scarlet now. So we want to do a few layers, and we want to keep on adding Evil Sunz Scarlet to this mix. And as you can see, I'm leaving the dark in the recesses again, just to really bring out that detail. But I'm going around all of the flat areas with Evil Sunz Scarlet, and we want to really bring this up to a brighter red now. If you are watching this and you don't buy Citadel paints, obviously there are colour comparison charts out there. You'll just have to Google and find your brand and compare them to Citadel. Now I do use a few Vallejo colours in this, so there is that as well. Now with Wild Rider Red, we want to focus this on the creases and we want to focus this on the edges of this coat. And also I do a little bit of edge highlighting where the two pieces of the fabric meet, and also around the pockets here. It's time to paint the skin. I love painting skin. You could call me the Buffalo Bill of painting skin. Put the paint on the skin or it gets the hose again. Now it's time to paint the squiggly beast. Now I do use Doomball Brown. I normally do a brighter red on squigs, but I did think because the red Gobbo is going to be covered in red, we want to do a little bit of a different red for the squig. So this was a little bit of an experiment. This was a little bit of a test colour. But also I thought he's basically meant to be a reindeer, so I thought I may as well do more of a red brown. Now Doomball Brown is a fairly red brown. Now I'm going to jump to painting the inside of the mouth, so I use Screamer Pink here for the inside of the mouth. So basically we want to cover this, the tongue, we want to cover even the back of the mouth and the side of the mouth, all of the mouth. The mouth. But also I'm going to use this colour for the gums, so I'm going to use this. You want to take your time when you're painting this part of the mouth because you don't really want to go over the teeth. If you do, it's not too big of a deal. You can either paint them back up white or you can wait until we do the teeth. But just take your time here, get your 000 or whatever you're comfortable with, painting fine details, and just take your time and go around these teeth. Now we're going to start layering this beast up. We're going to use Word Bearer's Red here because it's a red, but also it's got a fair bit of brown on this, and it really complements the Doomball Brown. We don't even have to mix these two together. I just layer this on top and it just really complements the last colour. Now again, I do want to leave in the creases or the crevices the last colour, the Doomball Brown. But we do want to layer some Word Bearer Red all over this squig. Now you can see on stuff like the gums here, I do a little notches and leave some of that dark in the creases. Now it's time to paint the Red Gobbo's goblin skin. So we're going to use War Boss Green here, and we just want to slap this all over the model. And there's not actually that much green skin on this green skin. Now we're going to go over this quickly with a shade. Biltan Green is the old formula again. And then we're going to start layering this up again with War Boss Green. So I'm not using too many crazy techniques on this. I want to keep it kind of beginner friendly. So we want to just leave the dark in the recesses again. We want to focus over those knuckles and just those fingers. But we want to leave a fair bit of the dark in. But I'm going to show you how I mix again, just because I want to introduce some Flash Gits Green into my War Boss Green. So again, we want to focus on the knuckles, we want to focus on the gums, we want to focus on especially the edge of that nose. We want that nose to come into like a really bright yellowish green colour, just to make this goblin's green skin pop. Now we're going to use Rhinox Hide. This is going to go all over the antlers. Now you only need one coat of this. This covers really well. And also there is a bit of a tree on his scenic base, so I do get that as well. Now I'm going to use Xandri Dust over all of the wraps. I'm going to use it on his toes, on Bouncer's toes that is. I'm going to use it on his teeth. I'm going to use it in all sorts of places really, so just take your time and go over all of the wraps. Also I'm going to do it on the dynamite stick. Now we're going to cover all of the Xandri Dust with Agrax Earthshade, so that's the teeth, the wraps and all of that. So obviously I primed the base white, but I'm going to use Vallejo white grey, and I'm going to go over all of the white here. So all of the snow is going to be this white grey colour. Now you could use a different brand obviously. This is the white grey that I like to use. It always comes out fairly smooth and not chalky like some whites can be. So take your time. They do have this weird ridge on this model where the snow meets the rim of the base, so just make sure you give it a good rimming. I mean, make sure that you go around to the rim. Now I'm going to use contrast paints. You could use some watered down paint, but I've wanted to try this paint out. Now I've never actually used this white contrast, and it is quite nice, especially on what I'm using it on, the base, and some of the other white areas I use it on after. So I do add some water to this after I sort of heavily put it on. Now I will use this water icon just so you know when I'm adding water to the mix. So I put it on fairly heavy, and then I put some water just to move that paint around so it doesn't sort of pool in one area. But this is quite a nice contrast paint for sure. Now you've got to go round and give it a good rim job. I mean, you got to go round and you just want to make sure, because basically the snow droops down, you just want to make sure you get that. Now I do use another contrast paint. You could use, you know, like a black or whatever, but I just go around this cable and I put this black contrast paint over it. Well, it's more of a dark grey, but I go over a lot of areas with that contrast paint, his boots, his shirt, and the cable. Now I want to do a heavy dry brush of the white grey over the base just to bring out that detail. It's, you know, a little bit textured. It's obviously meant to be snow, so it just works well, I feel, with a dry brush. After we use the white grey, I use this Arctic grey as well from Vallejo, but you can use any whites that you're comfortable with. Now I use metal colour, silver, so this is another Vallejo paint, and I want to go around all these balls, these Christmas balls, so there's a lot of them. Make sure you get them all, even the pin from the grenade on the base. I do some of the metals with Retributor armor here, so the metals on him, I do his earring. It's basically a Christmas ball, but I'll do it as an earring, so I do it as gold. I do the star, and also the star on Bouncer's tail. So now it's time to wash this dirty little green kit. Known oil all over the silver areas, and then we're going to use Reichland Flesh Shade, which I really love, over the gold. Gives it a nice warm gold colour. But make sure you go over all the silver. He does have this little plate over Bouncer's head, which basically stick those antlers on. Now let's go over all of the gold with Reichland Flesh Shade. Now I really love this colour over gold. As I said before, it just really brings out a nice warm gold. But that's how I like my gold. It's quick and easy, really. Now we set up the base coats. Let's colour these in with the Soul, Waystone and Spirit Stone. So you can do whatever colour you want. You know, it's not important really to follow what I'm doing. I just want to show you this technique. Now these are very glossy paints, so they're quite shiny, so it's good to do a silver or a bright metal under just to really help these colours pop. But you can see I've done red here. Now I just have fun, and you know, I put on some green here, and also on the other ones I paint blue, which is on the antler of Bouncer. Now this is a bit of a cleanup stage. I'm going to go around with that Arctic white. Now I'm going to do his beard. I'm going to do all of the pieces of the fabric of his coat. So that furry stuff that's on Santa's little helper's coat. I mean, the red gobbo. Now we're going to go back to Apothecary white, and we're going to go over all of those areas that we just painted white. So we're going to go over the beard. We're going to go over all of the cloth, that furry, that velvety cloth that he has. Now it's time to brighten up Bouncer's Gnashes. Now I use Morghast Bone here. You could do Xandri Dust again if you wanted to. This is a bit brighter than that. Now it's time to paint everyone's favourite part, the eyeballs. I've got my eye on you. Now it's time to paint some eyes, and also his pimples or whatever they are on Bouncer's body. So we go back to this red here, and we're just going to go around and paint his eyes and paint all these. I'm just going to basically paint them like pimples. So we go around and pick out every individual pimple. Now there's a lot of them, so take your time and go round, pimple popping, or pop that paint on that pimple. Just want a nice red pimple. Now it's time to brighten up those pimples and that eye. Let's use some orange. So you obviously want to try to leave a little bit of the red on the outside, but you want to go in the center with this orange. It's quite a nice technique, I feel, you know, layering up to a brighter color and trying to leave a little bit of that darker color or the last color in the recesses, I guess. I didn't think I'd have so much fun painting pimples, but they sure are fun, you know, just going from one color and just building it up. You know, it almost makes me want to paint Nurgle. But yeah, why would you want to paint some Nurgly demons when you got this nice little squiggly beast to paint up? As I said, there sure are a lot of pimples on this body. So now I'm going to use Uriel Yellow. You could mix the orange with Flash Gits if you wanted, but you know, if you don't have this color, but we want to just basically build up to a yellow now. So we go over all those pimples and that eyeball with yellow. Now I do add my Arctic White to yellow and go over the pimples now, but you could use an equivalent, something like Dawn Yellow if you want to, but I had some on my palette, so I mixed those two colors together. Now it's time to do what everyone loves, painting pupils on eyeballs. So it's a little bit shaky and hard to see because I tried to get really close to the model, and yeah, not the best camera work. Now I did go back and try and do a weird Kermit the Frog looking eye. It didn't look good, but I was going to put white over the pupil anyway, so you know, those parts that looked bad I just painted over with the white. And you can't see it, but the little winky eye, the little blinky eye I painted as well. Now it's time to paint the Christmas lights. Now I use the bright colours here, and I want to build up from the bright colour to basically white almost on the tip. So I use Flash Gits, and sorry about the camera work here, this is a really small detail and for some reason I couldn't get it into the camera, so I apologise for that. But I'm sure you can work out what I did. Basically using the brightest colours I build up to a white, so I did actually mix white into Flash Gits, but again you could use Dawn Yellow or something like that. So for the red light I use Evil Sun Scarlet, we just go around and we slap that on, and then I use Night Lord's Blue, which is a little bit darker, but it's a nice blue to go over that. So it's the same technique. I used Wild Rider Red on the red to build it up. I used Heckless Blue on here to build it up to a lighter blue. Now I do use Warpstone Glow here for the green. I wanted a different green than I used on the skin, and I slapped some Moot Green on the end of this just to brighten it up. Now I want to do an orange one. Orange doesn't have the best coverage, so I used Wild Rider Red for the base coat, and then I slapped some Troll Slayer Orange over the tip. The tip? Over the end of it. So you basically just want to slowly move into those brighter colours, just more towards the end of the light, just to make it look like it's shining a little bit. But here they all are, finished. Now I wanted to add another colour. I was going to do purple, but I decided to go pink. Purple probably would have looked nicer, but I started with a red and then I built up to Emperor's Children. So we built it up to a pink. Purple probably would have looked more nice though, but there you go. That's the pink one. Now I use a bit of Corvus Black. It's basically like a smoky grey. I just want to put a bit more detail on these cables, so I go around with that. Also I pick out a little bit of detail with Dawnstone, just a few of those cables. Now it's time to paint the dynamite stick. Now I did use the Evil Sun Scarlet on the actual dynamite, but we're just going to slowly sort of put in a bit of this Evil Sun Scarlet and I did add a little bit of water just to wetten it, and then I did blend a little bit of the orange into this. So I just go round, and then while it's still a little bit wet, I use some of the flash gits, but I wanted to keep this on the raised areas. But yeah, it's just a quick way to make it look like it's lit on fire. So I'm going over the little bulbous areas, the little bally areas, whatever areas they are. I just go over the raised areas with the yellow, just so it has the, you know, the darker colors in the recesses, and then it has that nice bright yellow pop on the raised areas. Now, quick and easy smoke. I've never really done that much smoke, but I just used this white contrast paint. We slapped that all over it, and while it was still a little bit wet, we used the dark grey contrast, the basilicanum or whatever they call it, and we go over that. So I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but basically I put this dark grey, or black I guess you can call it, over all of it, and just let it pool into some of those details. But then I come with a water and help spread it around so it doesn't, you know, just pool or sit in one area. So you can see I add some water. While it's still wet, just move that paint around, move that contrast all around, move it all around, move it. So you don't want it to sort of sit. You just want those colors to sort of mix together and just create a smoky color. But then I do come back with the white grey, and I do what I did basically to the flame part. I just focus this more on the raised areas. Now it is still a little bit wet, so I just sort of, I guess you could call it wet blending, but I just blended it in a little bit. But I want to keep this more on those raised areas, more so. So if I had more time, you know, I probably would have spent hours on this if I wanted to, but this is just a quick tutorial to show you how I did this. And just to help all those colours blend together, we use Apothecary White. Now you can see that it's helped blend and mix all those colours together. So that's the Red Gobbo's Dynamite Stick complete. So that's the Red Gobbo and Bouncer complete. Now, I did lose a little bit of footage for some reason, so if there's anything that I missed and you want me to go over, feel free to comment and I'll help you out as much as I can. Now the miniature's complete, let's finish the base. So we got to give it a good rim job. Yeah, I'm not going to make a joke about that. What do you think I am, 5? Well, I probably made 5 different jokes throughout the video about it. So I like to paint my rims a Baden black, and it does have that weird little divot on this base, so just make sure. I basically had to go around and do the base, but also do that little bit as well, the little dip, the gutter, whatever you want to call it. It was a little bit annoying to do this one, but yeah, just take your time. Where the edge of the snow meets the edge of the rim, it does have this weird little bit, and even on one side it's sort of all flat, so it's just a weird design for the base really. But yeah, just go round and do a nice black rim. Now I do a few thin coats on this one because I don't like chunky and texture and all that stuff on my rims, so just go round and do a nice few smooth coats. So I'm just going to go round and add a few finishing touches. So I'm going to add some tufts to the base. So I'm using good old Gamer's Grass winter tufts. I did do a review on these a while ago, but I basically have 2 different winter tufts and I add them to the base. I add them on any area that's a little bit flat and just seems like it needed a little bit of extra, but you can obviously add them wherever you like. Now, something I haven't done for a while, I use a bit of Yoo-hoo glue. Now, I'm going to add this to Bouncer's mouth. It looks like he would be dribbling and drooling and, you know, all of that good stuff. So yeah, I haven't used this glue in a while. I forgot how much it pumps out and how thick it is. But yeah, this is a bit of an awkward one to do. I basically attach it to the top of the mouth, drag it down to the bottom of the mouth, attach it to the top of the mouth, drag it down to the bottom of the mouth, and also I sort of wrap it around that cable. But yeah, it can be a bit fiddly, but give it a try. I haven't done it for a while and it came out okay, luckily. Just try not to touch it too much because, you know, the more you touch it, the more you're going to wreck it. So I came back with another smaller amount just to add a little bit more. But yeah, cross your fingers, pray to Gork and Mork, and luckily it came out and it actually looked, you know, how I wanted it to. Also, I added gloss varnish to the lights, the balls, and the gums of Bouncer. And finally, after weeks, hours, months, blood, sweat and tears, here is my The Red Gobbo and Bouncer miniature complete. Finally. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate if you stuck to the end. I know it's a little bit of a longer video, and if you want me to paint anything in the future, or you want me to go over something like green skin more, feel free to post some comments and let me know what you would like to see me paint or what you want me to work on next. If you want to help support the channel, I do have merch, I do have affiliate links, and I do have buy me a coffee and all of that sort of stuff. It's in the description box below if you want to check it out, if you want to donate, or if you want to help support the channel by buying merch, or if you want to suggest or even help fund a future project. I'd really appreciate it, so check out those links below. Cheers. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you could please like, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. This was G The Hypersapien, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.